What's going on, YouTube? Back at it with another video. And look, we got some true crime. 11-year-old boy disappears. 27 years later, they find this. Bro, if this nigga ran away and got raised by another family, or what if he ran away and lived in the woods and got raised by wolves, and they find out this nigga had a whole family and shit in the woods or something? I don't know. But 11 is crazy, bro. 11 to 27, bro. 16 years. And you still alive at that? Oh my God. If he's still alive, I'm not sure. But before we get into this video, you know I need y'all to like, comment, subscribe, turn them post notifications on. If you already got them on, you the GOAT. Stay tuned. Let's get it.
Today, October 12th, I'm 5 feet tall. My favorite food is steak. My favorite color is blue. My best friend is Aaron Larson. And my newest friend is Gabe.
This is the last known footage of 11-year-old Jacob Wetterling, recorded just 10 days before he disappeared on October 22nd, 1989. What follows is one of the largest searches for a missing person in U.S. history.
Wetterling was abducted at gunpoint last night while riding his bike with two other boys.
He grabbed Jacob and then he told me to run as fast as I could into the woods or else he'd shoot.
New evidence tonight leads the FBI to believe that Jacob Wetterling's kidnapper may have struck before.
Only 10 miles from where Jacob was abducted, Jared Scheierl was also kidnapped and assaulted just 6 days before his 13th birthday in 1989. Decades later, he will be the key to solving not only his own case, but also a series of attacks on other young boys in Minnesota, including Jacob Wetterling.
This was in Minnesota?
This crime was so horrific in nature, and it's gone on for 25 years.
How many psychopathic pedophiles can exist in a 20-mile radius?
I want answers. I want to know what happened.
I'm going to give it 110%. If the answer's out there, then I'm going to find it.
St. Joseph, Minnesota. 11-year-old Jacob Wetterling lives with his 3 siblings, Amy, Trevor, and Carmen, and his mom and dad, Patty and Jerry. It's October 22nd, 1989.
It was a chilly, but not too chilly October morning. We got up, Jacob and I went fishing, and then came back for a noon kickoff for the Vikings game. It was kind of a family tradition, watching Vikings football.
That evening, Jacob's parents go to a dinner party at a friend's house, about 25 minutes away. They were going to be back later that night, and they planned for the kids to stay at home while they were gone.
We were in the middle of dinner. Trevor calls, asked Patty if he and Jacob and Aaron could ride their bikes down to the local convenience store and rent a movie.
There's nothing between us and the store. It's farm field mostly and a few houses. But it was starting to get dark, and I said, no, find something to do. We've got plenty to do.
But the kids keep asking. They convince Patty and Jerry to let them go to the store with their friend Aaron if they take flashlights and head straight back home afterwards. St. Joseph is usually a very peaceful place, and the Wetterlings figure the kids will be fine, as long as they watch out for traffic.
It must have been about 45 minutes. The phone rang and they called for me to come and take this call, and it was our next door neighbor who called and said, you have to leave that party right now and come home.
He came back to the table and said, we gotta go. And I said, you know what, aren't those kids back yet? And he said, somebody took Jacob.
What?
Patty and Jerry are horrified.
Bro, imagine hearing that. Like, you looking for your kids, you've been out all day, you get home and you find out your kids ain't made it home, and it's confirmed that somebody took them. Like, oh my God, bro. My heart would be racing.
They rush home to find Trevor and Aaron in a state of shock.
Trevor was just agitated. And I remember Aaron was like hiding in the corner, biting his nails. He just wanted to disappear. They had witnessed something awful.
I want you to give me anything you can recall about this male party that approached you guys, okay?
He was like a man, sort of big. He had like was this for like nylon thing as a mask?
You know what color it was?
Black.
The kids tearfully explain what happened. After picking up a movie from the store, Jacob, Trevor, and Aaron started to ride their bikes home. But then, Aaron heard a sound coming from the side of the road.
It's kind of tall grass. A kind of a shiver went through me, and I didn't know if it was, just the wind or an animal, but just something didn't feel right. And I just remember the first thing I saw was kind of the flash of the gun.
A masked man threatened the kids with a gun. forcing them to get off their bikes and go into a ditch. At first, they thought it was just a high school kid playing a prank, but they quickly realized how terrifying the man actually was. He said he would shoot them if they didn't lay down in the grass and turn off their flashlights, so they followed his orders.
The silhouette probably sent chills down my spine to hear his voice again. And he asked Trevor to look at him and tell him how old he was. Same with me, and then same with Jacob. And then, you know, he told Trevor to run as fast as he could in the woods or else he would shoot. And then Trevor was gone maybe 10 seconds. You know, he basically did the same thing with me and told me to run.
Trevor and Aaron ran as fast as they could, knowing the man could decide to shoot them at any moment. They turned around, hoping to see Jacob following them. But both Jacob and
he didn't snatch Jacob. Jacob had the cutest smile. That's what it was. He scoped all y'all out. Dum. That's the one I want. And he probably like it was somebody close in the family. It's somebody that's always close, you know, that knew his parents or something, had something against him, probably wanted some money or something, and kidnapped this little boy. Cause this shit's crazy.
The attacker disappeared. Trevor and Aaron frantically went back to the house to get help. They escaped to safety, but they had no idea where Jacob went or what the man planned to do with him.
I was the last person, you know, with him. You have that guilt of he should be here and I shouldn't be here.
Hearing Trevor and Aaron's story, the Wetterlings are devastated and desperate for answers about where their son is and who took him. Trevor and Aaron give as many details as they can about their attacker. The search for Jacob becomes one of the largest searches for a missing person in U.S. history. As days pass, no one can find him, but the Wetterlings' best hope could come from another victim, a young boy named Jared Scheierl.
There were details that I recognized right away. Description of the voice was similar. There was a number of details that were pretty consistent to my case.
January 13th, 1989. 9 months before Jacob's disappearance, 12-year-old Jared Scheierl lived a happy life with his family in the small town of Cold Spring, Minnesota, just 10 miles from the Wetterlings. That night, he went ice skating with his friends. Afterwards, they got malts from a cafe. What started as a typical night quickly took a turn for the worse.
Every time y'all go
when it
get
was time
malts
for the
or
boys to head
smoothies,
home,
you get took.
Jared walked up to his friend, Corey.
There's a little alleyway out back, and we walked through the alleyway. And the one thing that I will always capture is Jared asked me to walk him home, and I said no.
Jared said goodbye and started to walk home alone. But when he didn't get back on time, his family started to panic.
Where the hell would he be? It doesn't take an hour to get from the restaurant to the house.
No one knew where Jared was, but nearly 2 hours after he said goodbye to his friends, his parents saw him running up to the house, distraught. Right away, he said he was attacked, and the man who did it was still out there. His parents called the police, and Jared had to relive his traumatic experience for any hope of catching the man who did this to him.
It was probably 9:30 when I started walking home. A car approached me. I just started giving this guy directions.
Taking
man
boys
got
and
out
shit.
of the car. He grabbed me. He said, "Get the fuck in the car. I have a gun and I'm not afraid to use it."
Jared followed the man's orders,
bro.
doing everything he could to survive.
I'm not even gonna lie, bro. This don't work on black kids, bro. And little Mexican kids, it don't. And Hispanic kids, it don't work. You have a gun and you be like, get the fuck in the car. Nigga just gonna run. Honestly, we're gonna just run the opposite way. Like, you facing that way, we're gonna run this way. You facing this way, we're gonna run that way. Fast as hell. You're not gonna catch us, bro. You're gonna have to get out that car and be a track star to get me. Now, you can go get a little kid that ain't used to no crazy shit at all. Get in the car. I'm gonna murder you. Get in. Okay, sir. Unlock your door and hop in. Now lock the door and put your seatbelt on. You're staying with me from now on. Motherfucker. That shit ain't gonna work for all kids. Nigga, get in the car. No, sir, I'm not getting your car. Ugly. Get in. I got a gun. I ain't afraid to use it. My daddy got a gun, too, and he uses his every day. Oh, God, I'm getting up out of there.
He studied the car as much as possible,
And I'm remembering what the
hoping
car
he would
looked
be
like
able
and
to
what you
escape
look like.
and use the details later to help catch the attacker. He noticed there was a police scanner inside the car. The man made Jared pull his hat over his eyes and lay down in the back seat. But still, he paid attention to every turn they took. After driving for about 15 minutes, the man turned onto a gravel road and stopped the car. Jared was gripped by fear as the man approached him. Then, the 12-year-old was sexually assaulted in the car.
Damn,
when it all
raped
ended,
him.
Jared was terrified, wondering what the attacker was planning to do to him next. But to his surprise, The man drove him right back to Cold Spring, about 2 miles from the Scheierl's house. He gave Jared his snowsuit back, but he kept some of his other clothes, and he threatened the young boy before letting him go.
He had said, it's okay to talk about this, but if they come close to finding out who I am, I'll find you and kill you.
That's
the
crazy.
attacker
This
told
nigga
Jared
just
to
doing
run.
drive-by rapes on little boys and shit. Niggas just drive a point. I like that one right there. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Pull off around the corner, come back, stop in front of you, get in the car or I'm gonna kill you. And take you out to the country, rape you, and be like, all right, you can go tell the cops, but if they come for me, I'm gonna just tell you this right now. You're going to die. The way I just found you, I can get you again. Nigga, that'll scare the fuck out of an 11-year-old. And you just dropped your whole ding-a-ling inside this boy? Yeah, there's some weird motherfuckers out here, bro.
If he turned around, the man would shoot. Jared sprinted back home, desperate to get away. After going through an unimaginable attack at such a young age, it's up to Jared to explain what happened. He tells the police every detail he can remember about the car and the man who assaulted him, hoping to help them catch this monster. Jared says he was wearing camouflage, and he tells them about the police scanner inside the car. He even directs them along the route they drove.
It's sad to picture it, but in order to do that, I had to lay in the backseat of the squad car with my eyes covered and just go off my memory.
Yeah.
3 days after Jared's abduction, police identify a possible suspect, Danny Heinrich, a former member of the National Guard. He's already had other run-ins with the law, like burglaries. He also has a few DWIs, and during one stop, an officer noticed he had a police scanner in his car, just like what Jared had described. In a photo lineup, Jared identifies 2 men he thought looked similar to his attacker. One of them was Heinrich, but he can't narrow it down to one suspect, and police can't charge anyone. Jared has to go home knowing the man who assaulted him and threatened to kill him is still out there.
I think I slept on my parents' bedroom floor for the first year. You know, the level of fear that you go through, the emotions, anxieties that you learn to
gotta been
overcome.
homeschooled and everything.
Jared thinks he's the man's only victim, but later that year, he hears about Jacob Wetterling's abduction in the nearby town of St. Joseph and immediately notices the similarities to his own kidnapping. Jared wonders if it might be the same culprit, and he wants to do everything he can to stop him and help find Jacob. December 13th, 1989. Almost 2 months after Jacob Wetterling's disappearance, Jared Scheierl works with FBI agents to make a sketch of the man who attacked him. They see similarities between the sketch and Danny Heinrich, and 3 days later, the FBI brings Heinrich in for questioning. They ask where he was on the nights of both Jared and Jacob's kidnappings. He doesn't have an alibi for either, and he agrees to give them his shoes, a hair sample, and the tires from his car. The shoe prints and tire tracks left at Jacob's kidnapping site are similar, which helps officers to get a search warrant. Once inside Heinrich's house, they find radio scanners, black boots, camo pants, and even photos of young boys.
Damn!
However, police let him keep the photos, and they leave. February 9th, 1990. Nearly a year after Jared was attacked, the FBI matches fibers from his snowsuit with the fiber sample from the car Danny Heinrich was driving. He's arrested on probable cause for Jared's kidnapping and sexual assault. FBI profilers help set up the interrogation. They even stuff papers in folders and write Heinrich's name on them, trying to intimidate him and make it seem like they have a lot of evidence. But in reality, they need him to confess. They hold him overnight in jail, but he denies everything. The county attorney decides they don't have enough evidence to charge him with anything, and they have to let him go. Suspicion grows, and while they can't prove anything yet, Jacob's family refuses to give up their fight to find him.
We are constantly looking at this case. We're not going to put it in a drawer. We're not going to forget about it. We are going to stay committed to getting this resolved. We owe that to the Wetterling family and the community to get an answer to them.
When your case gets cold, the only person that can keep it in the public eye is a loved one. And they have tried to do that, and Patty has never stopped trying to keep Jacob's face out there.
I never want to have to look Jacob in the eye and say, you know, I wanted to keep going, but I got tired, or it was so long. We never quit, ever.
Meanwhile, the pressure builds on Jared. He wants to do everything he can to help connect his case to Jacob's and to bring answers. Police often pull him out of class at school, and even though they try to keep his identity private, rumors spread quickly in the small town that he's the boy who was assaulted. He constantly has to answer questions, and investigators keep pushing him to tell them for sure who did it, even though he doesn't know.
One particular interview, my parents weren't allowed in the room. I was drilled with all the necessary details and then questioned in regards to how certain I was on those details. It led into, you know who this person is? And, you know, as much as I wanted to provide the answer, I didn't know the answer. I finally broke down in tears, and my parents had seen me and said,
it was like they interrogating him like
Jared's
he the one
family
who killed
decides
somebody.
to leave Cold Spring, hoping to help him
You
move
know
on
who it
and
is,
feel
tell
like a
me.
regular kid again. They want to
Sir,
protect him
I
from
was
all the pressure,
raped.
and also from the attacker, who still
I
lurks
would
free.
if I knew.
They moved just about 20 miles away to their new home in Paynesville, Minnesota, hoping for life to become more peaceful. But
Paynesville.
Jared and his family have no idea about the horrors that are already going on there, and they won't find out for over 2 decades. For years, Jared Scheierl's case and Jacob Wetterling's kidnapping remain unsolved. It seems like there's no hope for finding Jacob or catching the man who took him. But over 20 years after the kidnappings, one blogger will make a discovery that changes everything.
I was looking for something new to write about, and a story came on the news about the Jacob Wetterling case, and I thought, what happened here? You know, how does a kid just disappear from here?
And she's
just leave it
got
alone.
the benefit of not being law enforcement, so people will talk to her differently, and she keeps uncovering things.
I spent a lot of time at the library and online and going through old newspaper articles. And I figured out early on that I really wanted to talk to this guy named Jared.
Yeah.
Around 2013, Joy Baker reaches out to Jared. She found a newspaper article about a series of unsolved kidnappings and assaults of young boys in Paynesville, Minnesota, the town where Jared and his family moved to
So you'd
after
never
his
get
assault
away
in
with doing
Cold
the wrong
Spring,
thing.
only
God gonna
about
send
20
somebody
miles away.
random 20 years
Starting
later.
in 1986,
Random
3
blogger.
years before Jared and Jacob's attacks, there were multiple reports of a man terrorizing young children in Paynesville. He would follow kids riding their bikes or simply walking around town. He would then grab them, ask their age, and assault them before letting them go. Police were
Damn.
never able to stop the man or figure out who he was. But Joy Baker thinks those assaults could be connected to Jared and Jacob's kidnappings. When Joy talks to Jared, he's shocked. It's the first time he has ever heard about these other cases in Paynesville.
25 years later, and I had learned this from Joy. You can't imagine.
Bro, it's got to be somebody their age if he's doing it 20-some years later.
I lived here.
To Joy and Jared, they sound strikingly similar to his kidnapping, and even the FBI agents hadn't connected the cases together.
They asked me to send them the article. They weren't aware.
If we could have found them and piled up cases of abuse by him then, to me, it's just something, again, where we failed. It still bothers me.
Yeah.
For
And
decades,
think how many times they're
Jared
doing
thought
this
he
in
was the
other
only
cities.
survivor. But as
Just
soon as he
felonies.
learns there are others, he decides to conduct his own
Like,
investigation.
how you gonna sign up to be a cop and not even do the job right? It's kids out here missing, getting assaulted, and y'all ain't finding nobody. Like, y'all ain't figuring nothing out. It's all these cameras on everywhere. It's a camera on each block, each house on the block, everywhere. Buildings, street signs, stop signs. And ain't nobody can figure out nothing. Y'all just letting kids get done how they done. This shit's crazy. Serve and protect. You niggas are just serving. Like, and not serving us no good plate of food. Y'all niggas is serving us bullets. Y'all fucking us up.
He could be the connection police need to find Jacob and to bring justice for all the young boys and families impacted by the attacker.
That initially was the reason that drove me to the amount of investigating or researching that I have done, is the fact that I am a parent now. I couldn't fathom having to go through that or experience their sense of loss.
Over the next couple years, Jared and Joy continue to investigate. They do countless hours of research, and Jared finds and reaches out to other survivors.
Within the first week, I talked
this nigga
to
be
one of the
going around doing
victims
it to a
and
lot of
just
people.
got details of his attack. And they knew who I was, they were comfortable talking, and it led to a domino effect.
Well, it was like
Finally,
the mayors and
after
shit.
all of Jared and Joy's work, investigators look again at the Paynesville cases, along with Jared's. Authorities still have a hair sample from an early suspect who lived in Paynesville at the time, Danny Heinrich. With advancements in technology, investigators are able to use DNA from Jared's clothes he wore on the night of his attack and compare it with the DNA from Heinrich's hair sample. It's a match. Police now have concrete evidence that
Damn.
Heinrich is the one who attacked Jared. But sadly, Jared finds that he won't be able to put him in jail for it.
They said, the good news is we have your guy. The bad news is statutes of limitations exist in your case and we cannot prosecute him. That made me feel like I worked hard to find this
That make you
answer,
feel like you
and
gotta put matters into your own hands to get this man gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you mean this man just molested me, kidnapped me, and sent me back out here to live, and then he did it to like 20, 30 other ones, and it's just the ones that got caught. It's so many that he probably done touched, so many kids that he done touched on and everything, and y'all can't do nothing about it. All right, I'll handle it as a man then. Get it back in blood.
I get the answer, but I don't get prosecution. It's not fair.
Even though Jared can't get Heinrich convicted for his case, he still wants to help the other families who need answers. Because of the work Joy and Jared did, police are able to investigate further into Jacob's
And he done
disappearance.
killed people.
They
He
get a
ain't
search
just
warrant for
'cause-
Heinrich's house. They don't find evidence about Jacob or the Painesville attacks, but they do find binders of child pornography. July 28, 2015, Heinrich is arrested on child pornography charges. But while investigators believe he took Jacob, they still don't have definitive proof. They may never know where Jacob is or what happened to him if Heinrich doesn't confess. In a desperate attempt for answers, they come up with a shocking deal for him. If he shows them where Jacob is, then he won't be charged in his case. They will also drop all but one of the child pornography charges. U.S. Attorney Andrew Luger thinks it's the only way to get the truth, and the Wetterlings agree to offering the deal to Heinrich.
I offer him only a year in prison
but
and
not
pay somebody to get him
My
gone.
job, under all of these awful circumstances, put him behind bars for a long time and get the answers that this family and the state of Minnesota have been looking for almost 27 years.
Was it a hard decision?
No, not really. For nearly 27 years, we've been looking for Jacob. We wanted to know, where's Jacob?
Heinrich agrees to the deal. After only 10 minutes in court, the prosecutor asks if he kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and murdered Jacob Wetterling. He calmly responds, "Yes, I did." He goes on to explain what happened when he took Jacob. After he assaulted him, Heinrich thought he saw a police car patrolling nearby. He panicked and shot Jacob. He also confesses to Jared's abduction and sexual assault, and leads the officers to a spot just outside of downtown Painesville, where he buried Jacob's body.
It was actually absolutely stunning to try and process. How do you shift your head from hoping and searching to now knowing he wasn't alive?
Because of the plea deal he made, Danny Heinrich is not charged with Jacob's murder, but in 2016, he's sentenced to 20 years in prison for child pornography. He will be in his 70s when he gets out. Jacob's death is now a painful reality, but finally, the families have the truth about what happened nearly 30 years ago. And Patty Wetterling
That
said,
shit's wild, bro, to even process that. Like, you just got done raping this boy, you sit back, you think you see a police officer, like, just police, fuck, bow. What? You could have just, like, put your hand over his mouth or something. This nigga panicked and blew bro's head off, bruh. And then buried him and really got away with it for, like, years. He wouldn't have got caught if it wasn't for just... It's some Scooby-Doo shit. He wouldn't have got caught if it wasn't for them meddling-ass kids. I'm telling you, he would have got away in his 50s just out here still. Let's say he just stopped... When in his 40s, he just stopped fucking with boys. Just stopped fucking with them. That nigga would have been A-okay, just out here living life, bro. You know how many people is out here like that right now? That done touched on kids and just said, fuck it, I'm gonna stop doing it. And just living their life. Then killed people and shit, killed kids and shit, buried them. That shit's wild, fool. Shit's wild.
as they almost feel a sense of calm, knowing that Jacob isn't hurting.
I want to say, Jacob, I'm so sorry. It's incredibly painful to know his last days, last hours, last minutes.
It was
that
scary, terrifying.
Gunshot snuffed his breath out, but his spirit is so strong, you can just see how it affects people.
He's taught us all how to live, how to love, how to be fair, how to be kind. He speaks to the world that he knew, that we all believe in, and it is a world that's worth fighting for. His legacy will go on. We love you, Jacob.
Jacob's parents
R.I.P.
created
Jacob.
the Jacob Wetterling Foundation, now the Jacob Wetterling Resource Center, a program that helps families of missing children. They also worked to pass the Jacob Wetterling Act, which required states to establish sex offender registries.
Damn, he looked like his
Patty
mom.
Wetterling served as the chair of the board for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and today she's a well-known advocate, never stopping her work to protect children and help other families.
We're fighting for our children. They have hopes and dreams, and it's our job to find them. We can
She
never
done
give
found
up ever.
11,000 children. That's
Without
crazy.
Jared Scheierl
She
telling
did
his
her thing.
story and his work with Joy Baker to get justice, the Wetterlings may never have known what happened to Jacob. Today, the Wetterlings are still close with Jared and Joy, who helped bring answers for many families that have been fighting for decades.
I'm grateful for the level of support and encouragement that I've received along the way. This is another step towards closure.
I give Jared all the credit in the world. He's come forward and said, I think it's the same guy. I want to do everything I can to help Jacob. I hope some other people realize how brave Jared really is.
I also want to say one huge shout out to Jared and Joy. Jared had the courage to stand up and say, this happened to me, and there are others.
We really
They
did
let
just
him.
adopt this man. He was
Yeah,
so
1-1.
incredibly, powerfully part of our resolution.
This footage hides a disturbing secret. The couple cheering in the stands is Celeste and Stephen Beard. They are attending the high school graduation of their twin daughters, Jennifer and Christina.
Jennifer and Christina. Damn, bro, they did Jared dirty. 11 years old, bro. And then found out where he was for 27 years. And the day they found out, he was dead in some area. Somebody's land somewhere just out there, buried. That shit's wild, man. And the dude got caught because he kept doing it. Like, he wasn't serial killer. That nigga was serial rapist. Just molesting kids and disappearing and dropping the back off. And then he got caught up by a meddling kid. Thank God for that little girl that just liked blogging and figuring shit out. Man, a lot of people can sleep at night now. Fuck. But yeah, man, that's going to be the end of this video, man. I need y'all to like, comment, subscribe, turn them post notifications on. Y'all have a good night, man. Y'all stay blessed and make sure y'all keep God in y'all life, man. Don't trust everybody because some people out here be wanting to touch y'all kids and shit. For real. Keep y'all kids safe and keep yourself safe. I'm gone.